Guys, remember how a little while ago we said that some of these companies were getting a little complacent? Something that I actually kind of touch upon a little bit in the upcoming LPZZ Batman review, which may or may not already be up on the channel if you're catching this as a spliced up segment, as a video already after the fact. But it looks like LPZZ is not holding back on the momentum that they're establishing for themselves, because not only is their first ever foray into the 112 market, or more or less released right around the corner, LPZZ or slash U-P-Fingures, if that's like their new name. They're probably putting the finishing touches on that Deathstroke, which is set to release Q4 of 2025. So fingers crossed by the end of the year. But in the midst of all that, LPZZ, in a slightly, I don't want to say crude, but slightly less eloquent way of confirming, because they don't really do too many of these like really professional shots of announcements. It's almost like it's kind of hinted at by either designers on the team or by LPZZ tagging themselves on social media, so they can maybe do a little bit of a neater way to kind of present some of these announcements. But from the little that we have seen on social media, it does sort of seem like LPZZ is sort of determined on releasing yet another Batman figure, and that is going to be for, if I can get my screen swapped out here, which apparently I didn't calibrate quite accurately. Oh, here we go. LPZZ slash U-P-Fingures Batman vs. Superman, the Ben Affleck Batman. And it looks like this is more or less what it's going to look like. This is, from what I can tell, a prototype that initially I wasn't sure if it was legitimate, to be completely honest, because these days you can never really be too sure with the likes of AI and whatnot. But this was in fact shared by the official LPZZ UPF official Instagram account. This is technically a post that was put up on Reddit by a user, Illustrious Key, on the action figure subreddit. But I know, I have it on good authority, that LPZZ themselves, which I believe, and we'll get to that one right there in a second, some of my saved stuff right here, because that's where I have it. It's mostly just memes, especially this one with the Emperor Kuzco one. That's funny. But let me go to the LPZZ's official. Here we go. This one right here. They themselves even posted this. Okay? And shared it with also somebody named Mighty Edward Mighty Edward number 1. Wow, I was gonna say Eduardo. Mighty Edward number 1, who I believe is one of the designers and sculptors on the team. And they tagged both themselves and attached themselves to this post, the LPZZ official Instagram, to show off this prototype of the Ben Affleck LPZZ Batman. And as far as I can throw it, I am in fact liking what I'm seeing. I know that at times it gets a little difficult to start discerning, from photos at least, from just simple illustrations and photos that we just look through our screens on computers and phones and such. It's difficult to really, talk about whether or not the texture's better than like the recent 2.0 from Mafex, if it's going to be better than the in-art. I know that some people are already starting to throw out the argument if this is going to be able to tower the in-art, considering that I even was one of the folks that managed to see the in-art maquette for the 112 scale BBS Batfleck there at the San Diego event that they had. So people are already starting to create the debate. And so we have this photo with the diorama in the front, which I believe is the diorama from the Hot Toys, and they just used it here to kind of give it a little bit of life, a little bit of a backdrop. But then over here we have that white backdrop static image of the studio lighting. And overall, do I like what I'm seeing? Yes. I love the texture work. I like the solid nature to the utility belt, while at the same time not looking too muted, but also not too colorful, making sure that it blends in right. Albeit I think the hue is a little different. I think this one leans a little bit more towards the gold, where I think it's a little more opaque in the movie. But I do like the scratches on the bat symbol there. I think the biceps and the shoulders could be a little bit more buff from what I can tell. But overall, the texture work is top notch. I'm liking the cape. I'm liking that they're still keeping in line with the consistency of other BVS Batfleck figures that we've seen in the past, both in this scale and even in some of the more premium formats like Hot Toys, where they go for this tattered look to the lining here towards the bottom. Looks like we're gonna have 5 wires once again. I do love the stitching and the way that it's kind of creased here around the top right here, so I like that. It's just the standard cape that you would expect here towards the ends, but over here they refined it to make it look a bit more screen accurate. And then we got the cowl, which admittedly the cowl looks pretty solid. Let's go back to this other shot right here. Likeness could be a little better. I do think that something is a little lost on the chin. It's not terrible, but I do think that the chin could be just a little better. I think they captured the little bit of the butt chin and the 5 o'clock shadow nicely from Ben Affleck's portrayal, but I think the mouth shape could be a little different. I think he's got a little bit more cheek, and there's not enough cheek here. Because, Ben Affleck's got some puffy cheeks. Even when he was buff to be Batman in this role, you couldn't get rid of those cheeks, so this was still kind of coming through the cowl, and I feel like that this is just a little too flush. But the eyes, small spoilers for the LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman review that I'm still working on here, but one of the things that I will definitely praise in that video is how lifelike the eyes are, to where he never looks dead. It never looks like there's nothing behind the eyes. It always looks like there's someone looking through the cowl, and it managed to hone that in from the design that is interpreted in the Rocksteady game, and it looks like LPZZ managed to do something with the eyes, whoever they got on the team, to make sure that the eyes look lifelike and don't look so uncanny and deadpan. It's looking like they got something going on right here, where they just looked at photos of Ben Affleck, and I can see that a little bit here in these photos. Like I said, we're gonna need a couple of more promo photos, but from what I'm seeing right here, I'm already being sold. So I'm gonna be keeping tabs on this to see exactly if we're gonna get some more material. I actually have it. I wonder if my comment is here, because I actually did post a comment. It really depends on who you're asking here, because some people are going to be okay with it. I'm personally okay with it, just as long as, the articulation is not compromised, because I know there's going to be some people who are going to consider these cuts on the body to be a little egregious as far as the articulation is concerned. But at the same time, in the scale, you kind of need the articulation. If you're looking for something that's a bit more blended, or you want it to be synchronized with actual cloth materials to be covering up the joints or whatnot, I'm sorry, but you are going to have to look at 1/6 scale. Whether it be with Hot Toys or whenever they come around it, which I'm pretty certain is around the corner, is going to be InArt. Because for those of you who don't know, InArt, just a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, their Batman vs Superman Wonder Woman not only was unveiled, but went up full on for pre-order. 2 out of 3, 2 done, just 1 to go. All right, Superman is done, Wonder Woman's done. I mean, come on. That would be the biggest blue balls that InArt could ever give 1/6 scale collectors if they don't do a 1/6 scale Ben Affleck Batman. Come on, it's coming. And that's where you're going to have to then make sure that the mesh material is there. So your options are going to have to be the new 2.0 Hot Toys or the upcoming InArt that they have yet to reveal. But this is not the only thing that LPZZ is working on. In that same vein, since I have the account already open here, they also unveiled the BVS / Justice League, since it technically appeared in both, Ben Affleck, Batfleck, whatever you call it, Batmobile. Now, it's funny because I said that this is coming from LPZZ, and it's cool and it's interesting. Then I had some others come forward saying it's technically not a vehicle, it's a model kit. And I'm like, tell me in the chat, guys. I feel like both can be true. Like, yeah, it could be a model kit, but it could also be a functioning model kit, because according to this official reveal by LPZZ, which is a little bit cleaner, a little nicer aesthetically than that of the BVS Batman, because you got a full like graphic here with like decorative backgrounds and shadows and lighting and compositing, and you have the reflection of the water there, complete with like logos and when it's coming out, which from what I can tell, I can't read the Chinese here, but from what I can tell, this is set to release in November of 2025, literally in a couple of months. But not only that, but they gave us like full down breakdowns of the entirety of the pieces here. So here's the entirety of the model kit disassembled, and then right above it, assembled with what I can distinguish as fully functioning lights. And then here, small little translations to indicate that we have the engine component, the steering wheel, structure, the suspension, etc. A little bit of a breakdown of the internals. And then over here, from what I can tell, a fully opening canopy with the two seats there in the middle, decked out with nice little paint jobs. The sculpting is looking pretty decent, pretty nice. The wheels admittedly look a little cheap. They look like just full-blown plastic. It would have been nice if those were rubberized. But then over here, kind of a demonstration of setting it up to look like either from BBS or, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I believe these pieces attached to it then transforms it into the Justice League version. Not unlike the recent crowdfund project that McFarlane literally just ended, which is definitely something that crossed my mind when this was unveiled, where I was like, yo, y'all are not just unveiling this literally like I think a week or so after, maybe a week and a half after McFarlane ended their project, of which I did in fact fund. Not at the full amount. I didn't do the full tier. I did the middle tier so I can get an extra bat signal in case I need it for filming purposes. But that's it. I didn't get the black and gray Trinity set because I saw them in person. I didn't really think that they were all that special, to be honest. Don't need the poster, even though it would be cool to have something autographed by Todd. But at the same time, I was, looking at the price allotment, and I'm like, you know what? I'll settle for just the middle tier to get the extra bat flag and the extra signal, just for, like I said, for B-roll, without having to go to storage and pull the signal from the Ultimate Movie 6-pack, etc. So, it's more convenient. But even having done that, I was like, damn, but now we got LPZZ doing theirs. And I know I had some people go into the comments when I posted this as a community post saying that it's not LPZZ. It's also from a company, like it's actually from a company called Zinwanshe Yuanwei Culture. I'm probably butchering those names. My apologies if I am. But yet it's being shared by LPZZ officials. So like, which one is it? Because I'm getting conflicting reports. And I'm seeing the literal U-P-Fingures logo there at the bottom of the graphic. And it's through this specific picture that I saw this bat flick right next to it for scale. And I'm like, yo, when are we getting more insights into this? And I think we're literally within the same hour or so, we got those other photos that I've already shown off. And so then we get some more photos of it actually in the cockpit fitting into the pilot's seat, complete with the wheel, the light that actually shows the little. It's probably not a functioning camera; it's just a light for illusion-like purposes. The dashboard right there with some more lights. So there's actually functioning lights, not only within the exhaust, but even the front right there. They're probably gonna require those little like chip, circular chip like batteries to fill that in and to power those. But overall, model kit or not, I am really liking what I'm seeing for this. And this is coming from someone who doesn't necessarily favor this overall design of the Batmobile as far as the cinematic Batmobiles that we've gotten thus far. However, that was my next thought. Because what's important here is that LPZZ or U-P-Fingures or Zhuanshe Yuanye Culture, however you pronounce that name, what can they possibly do in the future for other cinematic Batmobiles? And that was actually akin to a comment that even I posted. I don't know if... here we go. Oh, Lord, this opens many doors. And I actually got a response from Mighty Edward number 1 saying, haha, indeed. Mighty Edward number 1, like I said, from what I can tell, is one of the designers on the team. So he, and I'm assuming, presuming that a good chunk of the people over at LPZZ, they're scouring social media, they're gauging the fan feedback, the response, to see what people are like. So we have to make our opinions and our takes known. And then I posted another comment here saying any updates regarding that BVS Batman on the 7th slide, which is this slide right here. Because at the time of me posting this comment, we didn't get those other photos. Those other ones with him kind of like this, or this one. Like, we didn't get these. We hadn't had these yet. So I posted that. And where did the comment? Oh, here we go. I did get a response saying, "We'll show up on WF Shanghai next month." And that's when that made me realize, oh yeah, come October, there's actually going to be a event in Shanghai, China, that has to do with toy collecting and all that stuff. It's actually the same event that InArt has actually made their presence known at a couple of years running now. I think ever since like 2023, maybe 2022, they were appeared there, where they've shown off in a handful of 1/6 and 1/12 stuff. So the competition in the 1/12 market is definitely heating up, and it looks like we're about to see a major form of a clash happen next month at WF Shanghai.